Hello, and welcome to episode 2 of PitchFront Soccer, where we talk about everything from the pitch to the front office. Today, we have more Saudi moves that I'm still pouring out a lot of money to get top quality, good players to come to their league. But first, actually, we have someone who decided not to go to Saudi, a coach, Marco Silva.
Yeah, Marco Silva. He's currently with Fulham, and he was offered $40 million for 2 years, so $20 million a year. For a coach, and no disrespect, I think for his magnitude, I think it's decently good money. And yeah, the fact that he's rejecting it. I mean, I guess we were talking about earlier, like it's all money, and money's pulling players, and the Saudi might be a good move for a lot of players, a lot of people. Again, because we talked about it's their job.
Yeah.
But hey, Marco said no.
Yeah, I mean, kind of shows that some people, money is a goal, but for others, they
Yeah.
have other things that are important to them that.
Yeah, some people just want the challenge, and it looks like Marco Silva really wants to go there.
Which, if you're a Fulham fan, that's definitely something you want to see. Moving on to people that have decided to go, starting with Riyad Mahrez, someone who has been a very key player for Manchester City in the previous years. Very good player. He is 31 now, so kind of reaching that end of his prime. Most likely would be moved on either way in the next 1 or 2 years.
But I think he could potentially still play at a high Premier League level.
Yeah, I mean, kind of saw him moved out of the first team last year. He wasn't getting as much game time, but still a very quality player.
Yeah.
Would be a key player for maybe not one of those top level teams in the Premier League, but definitely could be a key player for a mid table team.
Yeah, and then I think also, I mean, I think a lot of players look at this Saudi money as their life insurance.
Yeah.
It's end of my career. Again, the soccer, a professional career is how long? I mean, you probably go pro at, if you're lucky, let's say 18. And then, I mean, now we're seeing players go up to 30, 40 years old.
Yeah.
Don't play much, but let's say a solid 15 years.
15 to 20 years.
But then after that, it's like, that's it. You got to figure something out. So I think that's what a lot of these players are doing. We also have Henderson, who made the move. I'm surprised with that one, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly am too. Even though, he has gotten a lot of kind of slack the last 2 years, or not kind of being the quality that Liverpool needs. I think he still was someone who was important to their dressing room. Someone who, if he did stay, would have still had a place in the team, even if it wasn't a major one. But also reaching kind of towards the end of his career.
Yeah.
So, not exactly surprised to see the move,
But see, the thing that kind of got me thinking is the fact that typically a coach will hold on to an older player in their squad, someone that they feel like confident with, somebody that could coach in the field, or because let's be honest, a lot of the times a player, I mean, I guess it depends on the coach, but a player might not feel 100% comfortable with the coach about certain things. But with the team, you have that player that it's like the coach, and you could, hey, I'm not liking this, whatever,
Yeah.
And the
kind
fact
of the leader.
Yeah, and the fact that he left, I mean, they do have, or they did have those players. They will have those players without Henderson in the team. But I don't know. I just feel like he was somebody that was there, and I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of an end of an age for
Yep.
Liverpool. Seeing a lot of these key players of previous years leaving. Another actually ex-Liverpool player who could be making the move is Mane. His agents are in talks with Saudi Arabia. He did not have that good of a year last year at Bayern. He has said that he wants to stay and take on the challenge, which is why he originally did leave Liverpool. But that's kind of up in the air right now.
Yeah. And then the good thing about, not the good thing, but the thing that I see with him is money attracts him in a way of, he does a lot for his country. Like he does a lot for his community back home, stuff like that. So I feel like he is more of those players where it's like, yeah, soccer's my thing, but I'm looking past that to where I could see him getting a big check and being like, yeah, I could really distribute this money in a good way that's gonna help people. So I feel like he might take that route. I don't want to see him that because he's also not an old player.
No.
He could definitely like still. I mean, he's a good player. I mean, he had one bad season, and honestly, like you go from the Premier League to Bundesliga. I personally think Premier League is tougher in most ways, but you have to adapt to that game style. And obviously, I know he had some issues in the locker room when he first arrived, so it's going to be tough. Now he has to adapt, has this issue. It's going to take a little longer. So I don't know. I feel like he could stay in Europe for a little longer and still be that player that we all remembered.
Yeah, I agree. And then we have Moussa Dembele, the striker. He was the striker for Olympique Lyon. He's made the move. Another player, Malcolm from Zenit, good younger player who actually is making a move for a good amount of money. I think it's up to 60 million total with add-ons, which is that's a good amount of money.
Yeah, and that's what I was telling Justin here earlier, that when you're a big club in Europe, you have the chances to steal the best talent. But when you are Wolves in the Premier League, Mallorca in La Liga, just mid to lower table teams, you can't compete with these guys. I mean, we'll talk about it later, and there's some bids that these Saudi teams are making for stupid amount of money that not even the top teams are gonna do it.
Yeah.
So that's gonna be interesting because I think money talk, and I think they could potentially pull a lot of good players. I just want to know what's gonna happen if that happens, because I mean we're starting to see it. We're starting to see young players leave. So
yeah. I mean, another young player is Alexei Maximin from Newcastle. Very, very talented dribbler. Highly rated. Has a strong spot in this Newcastle squad that's continually to build. Become honestly looking like a very
it's gonna be a good project this year that they're gonna be having. So it'd be good to look at them. And that's the thing. Newcastle they have a wallet.
Yeah.
You know, so that's what I'm saying. I mean, if they couldn't offer him something that was like, hey, I'm staying in Europe, Premier League, this is the salary, and he's going there because of the money. Again, we think it's the money. We don't actually see what the contract says.
Yeah.
We don't actually know. Like we said last episode, we don't know much about these clubs out there, just because time difference, their games. We can't really watch them here in the U.S. unless we actually make an effort to do so. And at the time, there was nothing interesting about their league.
Yeah.
Now there's a lot of interest because I want to see what's going on, man.
Yeah. I mean, continuing, these are a lot of players in their primes, or in their primes even coming into their primes. Alex Telles, who was a very good left back for Manchester United, went on loan last year to Sevilla.
And then he's
making the move.
Moving,
continuing to follow this trend of players going to Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, and then I guess I'll say this comment after. We have Alexander Mitrovic, who also made the move from
This Fulham striker.
Fulham, yeah. So I think it's interesting to see that these players, we were seeing at the start, I think when Ronaldo made the move, that it's going to be the retirement league type thing. We compared it with the MLS, that it's like MLS for so many years brought old talent to retire here.
Yeah.
So we thought about the Saudi league, but now it's like we're seeing a lot of younger players that it's like, I think that's what makes it interesting, because MLS did it years ago, and yeah, teams did look at the MLS, but it was like, I'm just gonna have it on this set. I'm not really gonna focus too much on it, you know?
Yeah.
But now that you're getting young players that could potentially even go crazy and kill it there, or are in a really good time of their career where they could even peak a little higher, to be moving there, I think that's really interesting.
Yeah, definitely is. I mean, a lot of these players still have a lot of their career left, and they're deciding not to just go here to get the life insurance money like some of the other players.
Yeah. I mean, because a lot of these players could still play. I mean, I think most of the ones we play at least still have 3 solid years.
Yeah.
At least at the level from Saudi Arabia, and I'm talking level Saudi Arabia based on the World Cup, because I guess that's as much knowledge as I know. I mean, I watched a couple games from the league, but not enough to judge it. But I think they could play at least 3 years there.
Yeah.
That's a good amount of time. I mean,
I agree.
We could move on to the big one. The big one, everyone's been talking about it. It's the Mbappe drama.
Mbappe.
And that's a lot of things going on. It looks like PSG kind of is fed up. They actually, I think they're playing the cards right. Where I personally think that any club should be above any player.
Yeah.
And I think PSG has been known to not have that power. They grant their players a lot of power. We saw that with Neymar, where Neymar's there's speculations. It seemed that he was always out of town when there was a crazy thing going in Brazil. He wanted to go back home those times.
Sister's birthday.
Exactly. So there's all these things going on where it's like, well, you're giving the player a lot of power.
Yeah.
And we see that with his ego, bad or good. You guys decide that. But I think with Mbappe, they did the same thing with these contracts that they gave him. And now it's like they're actually saying, hey, I think he's not going to Japan, the tour in Japan.
Yeah.
They're still making him go train, and I think I was reading something the other day that they're making him train with.
He's training with like all the other players that they're planning to move on.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so he's not actually training with the squad. Yeah. So I think it's going to be interesting with this this move that happens. Go ahead and give out the details.
Yeah, I mean, we're looking at Al Hilal playing 300 million euros to PSG. It would be world record money, 80 million more than that Neymar move, which is currently the record, and well above second place as well.
Yeah.
And then Mbappe's salary is going to be $200 million a year, guaranteed salary. And he gets up to 500 million euros more, which is a total of 700 million. Which those 500 million would be from image rights, which he would keep 100% of. So any sort of deals he would make for his image rights.
His money 100%.
Yeah, club's not taking any of that.
This is wild, and this a little bit off topic, but it reminds me of LeBron James when he was in Cavaliers. He was signed by, was it a Chinese basketball team? I don't know, but it was a 1.1 billion deal, which essentially this is what it is.
Yeah.
So I think it's crazy. Is money hurting soccer?
That's mostly for you guys to decide. It's kind of up to everyone. I mean.
And then again, if he does move again, we're talking about a young player.
Yeah.
He could potentially be like people saw Pelé, Maradona. We saw Ronaldinho, Messi, Ronaldo. Like this is what the next generation is probably gonna be talking about.
Yeah.
And he could be moving to this league.
Yeah. I mean, he could be moving to Real Madrid and help them win another 3 or 4 more Champions Leagues.
Yeah, so
a very talented player who's, entering the prime of his career, and he could be moving to what's considered not a good league. And kind of looking back, are we going to look at this and say, oh, this had to stay on in his career? He's not the best of this generation because of this move.
Yeah.
What kind of effects will this have on his career?
Yeah, because I definitely think if he goes, he'll kill it. Now, is he going to come back the same? I mean, I think the talent's there.
Yeah.
I think the talent won't be lost. I think the physical and little things that he might be slower, whatever, we see it when people move to a lower division or lower level league. But I think he'll come back and be the Mbappe that we know. But now the thing is, if he doesn't move, what's gonna happen?
Yeah. I mean,
that's for sure. He's PSG's telling him if you don't move, if I don't get my money back, you're not playing.
Yeah.
So that's gonna be 6 months till December, end of the year.
Yeah.
where
Till the January window opens.
where we won't see Mbappe. Now I think this would be. I think both routes we see it's going to be the first time in history we kind of see this,
Yeah.
where top player goes to a lower league, or if he doesn't, a top player, one of the
not playing.
exactly. So it's going to be wild.
Yeah, I mean, kind of the same thing. If either route that happens, how is this going to affect his legacy as a player?
Yeah. And then who knows? It might make it better. Again, like I said, when I see him move, I think of him coming back and being not bad player, but a little bit worse than how he left.
Yeah.
And if he doesn't play, he's definitely going to come back a little worse than how so that's going to be interesting. What do you think is going to happen though?
I mean, also a part is like, how is this going to affect him mentally as a player? If he goes to a lower league, is he going to come back and is he going to have that same drive to do and work as hard as he did because he didn't have to?
Well, and then that's the thing though. It's like at least France is always known as the Farmers League. We call it the Farmers League.
Farmers League is the top 5 leagues.
Yeah, and then we seen that it's not. I mean, it's competitive, maybe not as competitive as other leagues, but I mean, PSG made a final. They've gotten close to Champions League, you know.
Yeah.
So even though everyone saw it as this is an easy project for you. You should move on. He stuck that, and then he showed it that could be done. You know. Yeah. Now he's going to that, so I think that drive is gonna have it. But the thing to me is gonna be that expectation for him when he goes to a different club.
Yeah.
Because if he makes the move, he's not gonna have the expectations up. They're not gonna tell him, "I need you to score 100 goals this season." They're not, because they know he's gonna do it. And even if he performs, let's say at a 90%, he could potentially do it.
Yeah.
But it's when after the year passes when he moves and he comes back to Real Madrid. Now Real Madrid, there's pressure there.
Yeah.
He's not gonna get the 200 million, or at least I don't think he's gonna get 200 million a year that they're offering him. So I think I want to see where this is gonna go when he comes back.
Yeah.
If he does move.
If he moves and if he decides to not stay, I mean, in the year it could be that this league has bought enough players to be almost as competitive.
Yeah, and then you never know. Maybe he renews and they stay, and more people migrate there.
Yeah.
But it's gonna be interesting. What do you think is gonna happen? What do you think? What route do you think Mbappe is taking?
I think if Real Madrid makes a bid that PSG would accept, which I don't even know if they will, because that's going to be at least 200 million. Mbappe will go to Real Madrid. If not, he'll probably just sit on this bid until late August and then accept it for 1 year, and after that 1 year, go to Real Madrid, which is probably what will happen if he stays in PSG.
Yeah.
Because now he's like, okay, either I stay here and I don't play and I don't get money, or I move, I play, and I make enough money for my kids' kids, and my kids' kids.
Yeah.
So, and then it's just 1 year. After that, he just goes to Real Madrid, which was going to be his plan either way. But I think if Real Madrid does make a bid now,
they could potentially change something. It's got to be a lot of money though.
Yeah, and they've already spent 100 million on Bellingham.
Yeah.
I don't think they have that money that they're willing to dish out.
Yeah, I mean, I think if PSG says I'm not taking any less than 300 that they're offering now, I think Real Madrid can't compete with that.
No, I don't think so. I don't think they should either. They just wait 1 year.
Yeah. That's the thing. That's what we're talking about before we went on. That Mbappe has it easy because he could leave for a year and then say I'm only here for a year, and then December goes on, he calls Real Madrid because Real Madrid will take him. He's a player that if Mbappe reaches out to any team that want to play for you, they'll listen to him.
Yeah.
And then they could get him next. What will it be? 2024.
Yeah, June 2024.
Around World Cup.
July.
2026.
Euro.
Yeah. Which he'd be with France. So also that's another thing, the national team. I didn't even think about that. But yeah, so this is the drama that's been going on with Mbappe, and I think this is the hottest thing on the market right now.
Yeah, I mean the biggest news if you're seeing $1 billion, billion euros for one person, I think it's pretty impossible not to talk about that. But I mean, just crazy amounts of money for one player, and he kind of has the world in his hands.
So we'll move on to the next topic, Leagues Cup. I mean, right now, like we told you guys in the first episode, there's not a lot much going on. We're going to cover some transfers. The good stuff is going to come when, obviously, season's back on and Premier League, just European teams are on. We'll try to touch base of our side of the world, but we'll kind of be focusing on the big leagues. But right now, Leagues Cup's going on. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it. It was a tournament with Liga MX from Mexico and MLS from here, the United States, are playing a tournament. I guess they kind of want to make it, they want to compete with Libertadores in South America, which they kind of want to bring a lot of talent and good competition, which I think it's great. I think it's working. And I think the thing that caught my eye is I want to see how these teams, because we see U.S. and Mexico fight, and right now the U.S. is a little bit ahead.
On the national team level.
National team level, yeah, just because more players in Europe, looks like they got better chemistry. They know their route where they want to go with this team opposed to Mexico. But I want to see the teams that are with each other day in and day out, how they're going to do.
These club teams.
And then the season started the 27th of June, so it's been, I think it's halfway through the group stage right now.
Yeah, thereabouts.
And so far we had 10 matches where it's Liga MX against MLS.
Yeah. So far, the MLS...
Before we tell them, what did you expect from this?
From the Leagues Cup? What did I expect? I guess I was just kind of hoping to see just good soccer, kind of seeing these teams that really would never have interacted with each other, seeing how different styles of play kind of go against each other. If, a certain style of play that's more popular in the U.S. kind of shows itself as being more dominant compared to the one that's more popular in the Liga MX. If certain players in either teams can really make stars through become stars through these extra games that they have to play, kind of continue to grow and maybe become bigger parts and become bigger moves to Europe. Kind of glad to see that just more games and including more teams that, personally I don't watch the MX that much. I'm more focused on the MLS because I'm not Mexican, but seeing these Liga MX teams makes me want to tune into Liga MX and see how their own league is going. Maybe not watch games all the time, but if there's
like the big games,
highlights, just more keep up with the league compared to what was before it. So I'm definitely happy it's happening. It's definitely an interesting format, which we'll also get into.
I mean, something for the summer when we got not much going on to watch. So I think this might be a thing that keeps happening. I don't know if every year, because I mean, again, we run into national tournaments, international tournaments and stuff like that. But I think every couple of years it would work.
Yeah.
And something that you mentioned that I didn't really think about is MLS has one way of like a game style, all MLS. And it's, we're going to go win. Like, yeah, I mean, you have your counterattack possession, but it's like typically when a team has possession, they typically just go for like a Barcelona that sometimes they held the ball, moved it around. They didn't care about scoring. They were kind of playing around.
Yeah.
MLS possession is we're going to have possession, but we're always going to move forward.
Yeah.
Or if we're going to score, it's going to be a counterattack, but it's always to score. Where as Liga MX, I'm thinking of Tuca Ferretti, who's now coach of Cruz Azul. His game style is let's get the other team tired and play with the ball. So defenders, the center backs always have the ball and move it around. And I didn't think of that, but it's good to see kind of what way works better,
Yeah.
So it is. So now we're gonna move on to the 10 matches that we said. The MLS won a total of 4 matches, 40%. We're not gonna get into what teams. We're just gonna cover it like this. Ties, there was 40%, and then 20% of wins for Liga MX. So that means that the MLS is winning right now. There are 8 games coming up in the second round of this group stage, and So we'll be able to see.
Yeah.
I'm a little more familiar than Justin is with the Liga MX, and I was just telling him that the stronger teams from Liga MX are the ones that are about to play. This is today and tomorrow will be happening. So I expect Liga MX, at least seeing the bracket and the teams, the MLS teams are playing, to have more wins. But who knows? Like, I think it's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, these are teams that have never played against each other, and definitely in the MLS you see a lot of upsets with home advantage and kind of who shows up on the day. There's definitely teams who were on good runs facing teams who are on bad runs, and they happen to lose. I'm not quite sure if that's the same in Liga MX, but the MLS, there's definitely the league's very close. There's a lot of times where teams who should be better will go on losing streaks to teams who should be worse.
It's competitive to the level. So there's and that Liga MX is similar to where I was telling him Mazatlan. Liga MX tends to be a lower division team. I believe the last year there's 2 tournaments in Liga MX. The spring one they got last place, and this last one that just happened, or the fall got last place. This one that just ended, they got 15th place. There's 18 teams, so they're lower division.
Yeah.
And they're one of the teams that already moved to the next round of Leagues Cup.
Yeah.
So that's interesting to see too. It's like maybe something that works over there, like you said. Maybe playing away over there might be a little harder than coming to the U.S. and playing here. Or I don't know, maybe just be something motivation. You're in the U.S. because the tournament's happening only in the U.S.
Yeah.
So.
And then again with another team who's already made it through, who was 15th place in the Eastern Division, Inter Miami.
Second to last place in the whole
of the
MLS league.
Yeah, and they've already. I mean, they made 2 moves for 2 very, very good players. So it does make sense how they're through, but you know, soccer's not a one-man sport.
Yeah, so that's kind of what I want to see, because they also got new coaching, so that might shift some things. But if Messi could win this league, is it because of Messi? The question that I was asking is, can if Inter Miami wins this Leagues Cup, are we going to give the credit to Messi?
I think we almost have to.
Right?
Because, I mean, if he's going to bring a team that was second to last in the whole MLS to win a tournament against both all MLS and all Liga MX teams, I mean, he's already scored 3 goals.
Now, obviously, we're talking about different competitions. He won the World Cup, and it took him a while.
Yeah.
But as far as achievements, obviously the World Cup is going to be number 1. But how much credit are we going to give him for this cup compared to the World Cup? Because if you think about it, the World Cup has they had a lot of talented players.
Yeah.
So he had a good squad. Now, when you come into this side of Inter Miami, no disrespect to the squad, but you can't compare him to what he had in Argentina. So that's what I'm saying. Like, probably give him the credit, but how high in his list of achievements is it going to be? Because think about it. Came back, didn't have much training. He had 1 week training with the club. He scored on his debut, and not any score. It was a good free kick, what we're used to from Messi. Obviously, not seeing him in the States, and last game he played, he scored 2 goals and had an assist.
So I mean, it's almost like he's single-handedly just turning this team around.
Yeah. I mean he's definitely getting help from Busquets, who's organizing the midfield and all.
Yeah.
But again, and all the papers, it's not going to be Busquets doing this. It's going to be Messi, and we gotta.
Yeah, I mean, it also helps that they got an actually solid coach in Tata Martino, who's able to bring out more from the other players in the squad.
Do you think Inter Miami will take this cup?
We'll really have to see. I mean, we haven't seen enough from Inter Miami to see if this is like a sustainable
Their
kind
cup.
of thing. Yeah, just 2 games. There's a lot that can obviously happen.
I think the first game of the group stage will tell us, because I mean we have really good teams. We have LAFC and Pachuca who didn't play just
Yeah.
because they won their leagues, so
Yeah.
they qualified just into the knockout stage. But that could also be bad for them because they're not gonna get any.
Playing.
Yeah, they're gonna be stopped. They're just gonna be training for since at least last June, like 18th was when Pachuca and LAFC last played.
Yeah.
So it's
It'd
a
be
good
like
amount of time, 3 weeks.
over a month, probably by
Yeah.
the time they're actually
Yeah,
playing.
so I think it's gonna be interesting. But I mean, again, we're talking about top teams, top of their leagues. So that's good.
Yeah, I mean, definitely interesting to see.
Yeah, and then we're gonna move on to the last topic. This is gonna be interesting because we told you guys, I think last episode, that we were gonna try to keep up with women's World Cup.
Yeah.
And at least here in California, games happen at midnight. I think 10 p.m. to midnight, so it's tough to watch. We have been trying. I mean, at least I've been trying to watch the more entertaining games, like the big games.
Yeah.
But I just fall asleep because it's too late.
Yeah.
So we don't know much about it. We know about the countries, but we don't know how they're doing. So we're gonna give our prediction of teams, 3 potential teams each that could be.
Going on to at least the semifinals.
Yeah.
3 teams who we think high chance to semifinals, because I mean, obviously we know how good the male counterparts are of these teams, but will it carry over to the women's teams? Will they have the same infrastructure that the men's teams have, that has developed the same quality of players? These are all things we don't really know because we haven't really kept up with women's soccer, but something we're trying to get into and trying to learn as they're.
Yeah.
I watched a few highlights before we came on. There's some very good plays and
Some that you're.
some very
You just
interesting
wonder
ones.
how. But again, I mean, it could be, again, we're judging based on the highlight. We don't know the overall. You know, and again, I know most of the teams have played maybe, again, halfway through their second round, so there's still a lot of World Cup to go. But we'll definitely make an effort to keep watching. But do you want to go and give out your teams?
I can give.
So you give out one, I give out one, and then we go back and forth.
All right,
But you gotta go the best one first, the one that you think that's for sure. So we're just saying semifinal again because we don't know.
Exactly who's gonna end up playing against.
Yeah, play against each other.
Yeah.
We haven't even looked at the bracket to see who faces who. So we're just gonna give three ones. But you pick your 3 best teams, and then you start on number 3, and then I'll give my number 3, and then we'll say first one for last.
Okay, my number 3. I'm going to go with England. They, I believe, won or were in the final of the last Women's Euro. A very strong team. Has, I think, the ability to make it pretty far in this tournament. Already have won their first game, even though it was pretty close against a Haiti team that was much better than I expected. I think England has a very good chance of going pretty far in this tournament.
Yeah, and we'll see. I do like how England's playing, but at my point, I would put it a little higher. My 3rd team's gonna be Sweden. And it's one of the highlights that we watched. They good soccer and based on just the knowledge that I saw from the highlights that we watched, because we watched 2 highlights. We watched Japan against
Zambia, I believe.
Yeah, and then the Sweden against
South America.
South Africa.
South Africa. Oh my God! I did it again.
South Africa, and then we watched the England one against
England and
Haiti.
Haiti.
So 3 games. The size of the Sweden team, man.
They were big.
They got the size. They're pretty fast. So I think, and again in the Euro they went pretty far.
Yeah, I think
Quarters, semis.
I think semis.
So I just think based on I feel like most women's soccer is pretty leveled out, at least in this stage.
Yeah.
You are gonna see some things going on, like in the Japan game, but for the most part, they're all even. So I think the size, the physicality is gonna play a big role, and I think Sweden's definitely got the size. They might need to work a little more on just their technique and tactical play and stuff like that. But I think, based on what I saw before and based on what I just saw from at least their first game, I think they're for sure gonna make semifinals, I believe.
Yeah.
Obviously, depending on the road that they get.
Yeah, I think that's a very good shout for that team. My second team, which I think will make it to the semifinals, is another team who's already qualified. They've won both their games. It's going to be Spain. I think a country that's very known for their technical and tactical play. I haven't personally watched them, but they've won both their games. They've won pretty handily in one of their games, I believe. Can't quite remember the score, but just knowing how Spain is as a country, I imagine this is a team that is very tactically sound, which is something which you don't see too often in the women's play yet, where a team is like very high chemistry, which Spain is known for, very tactically sound. All the players know what they're supposed to be doing and how they're supposed to be playing, which is something I think they can use to work the ball around a lot, which is very good in women's soccer, because these players are going to be smaller, they're going to be shorter, they're going to be not as fast as the men's players. So moving the ball around will, one, tire them out quicker, and they aren't going to be able to press as harshly because they're just not as fast.
Yeah. I think. Yeah, I think it's Spain's right there. Now that I'm thinking about my option, I'm like, shoot, might have left one of them out. But I think I'm gonna go with just what I had in mind, and I think Spain could definitely be up there. Again, I think just the physical aspects. Don't get me wrong, we've seen it. We saw Guardiola's Barca.
Yeah.
I think their average height was like maybe 5'7". Like they had short players and they just dominated. But I just don't see this happening in this tournament, especially just from what I see and what I remember playing against women's teams. They tend to be a little more physical. Like definitely just kind of, if they're gonna go slide, they're gonna slide, and they kind of don't care what's gonna happen, but they're committed. And I think that's why I wouldn't put them that high. I would put England second.
Mm-hmm.
Just the same reasons you gave. They made it to the final. I think they're a solid team. They're physical. They got the height. They're strong. So I think that's what I would go with second. And I think we both have the same first place.
Yeah, I think we're both gonna go with the United States of America,
yes.
A team that's known for winning every single tournament they enter into. A very good women's team. A lot of high quality players. A lot of speed in their team as well.
Yeah, and also a lot of, this is off topic, a lot of women that are playing in their World Cup and their national team, most of them play for the MLS.
Yeah.
Like the women's cup, is it MLS? Yeah, I don't think they changed the name.
I'm not quite sure if they changed the name or not.
But yeah, they play here in the U.S. in the league, and a lot of the good players that we know play here. Yeah. So I think it's gonna be interesting, and I'm pretty sure, I want to say I'm like 70% that we'll probably see the U.S. in the final.
Yeah, I think it's
Again, I would commit, but it's soccer.
Yeah.
Like, or football. Anything could happen. Yeah, we've seen, especially lately, we've been seeing a lot of underdogs just killing it.
Yeah.
And going on top. But we're gonna do a little better on staying in the Women's World Cup.
Up to date, watching more games, especially as it gets into the knockout rounds. Kind of paying more attention to how these teams actually play. Give you guys a good overview of what's actually going on if you're not able to keep up. Obviously, it's a bit hard for us to watch the games. I'm luckily able to record them and watch them back the next day. I don't think you don't have the same.
No.
Yeah, you don't have the cable, right?
Yeah, I can't record them, but I mean, we could get to. I mean, we'll do our part and be educated when we come and say some of these things. That's gonna wrap it up. Unless you have anything else.
I'm all set.
Yeah, the only thing that we do have coming up, and we just kind of talked about it, that we're gonna do reaction videos to games, especially the ones that we can't watch. I think it'll be a good thing to see for the Women's World Cup and Leagues Cup, because again, like today, the Leagues Cup has 8 games going on today.
Yeah.
And it's like we can't watch them all.
I mean 8 games all at the same time.
Yeah, they're all around the same time. So
maybe watch 2.
Yeah. And then so I think that's gonna be good, because we watched some highlights just now, and the highlights definitely surprised us. There were some that is like we're expecting worse, and it was a great game, and then some that we're like expecting a lot from it, and it was like a poor game. So I think the reaction videos that will be coming up will be good, and they'll be in the same channel.
Yeah.
So just stay tuned for those.
Yeah. I'm not quite sure when those will be coming out, but probably within the next month at most.
Yeah.
We'll be starting to produce those for you guys.
Yeah, I mean,
continuing with this podcast.
We'll try to bring them out as fast as we can, but we're working on it. We both are starting school soon, so.
Yeah, gotta get schedules and stuff set up, and as soon as we got everything figured out, you can be starting to expect more regular scheduled content.
Yeah, the time for you, we'll make time for you. We just are trying to figure out on a weekly manner what day it would be. But that's all for today. Please follow our socials. They'll be down below in the description. And we'll bring out, be alert for the next video.
Yeah, appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
Have a great day.